White Sox team can have a really decent season in a really bad division. That's what you guys have to remember. It's a really bad division.
It is.
That's
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
You have your scab-eating OC holding you back, calling two of the same screenplays in a row during one game, and having you throw two passes, which I was corrected by, one pass in the fourth quarter of a game you were the best player in. Fight me!
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. Bullshit.
a good organization would do. But this is the Bears, not a good organization. So they're going to keep Ryan Poles.
Why?
We just feel our disappointment. That's all.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Between the Bears.
Yeah, we do it when it's still warm outside.
Right, yeah.
So we can get out, like October, beginning November. Still like 50, 60 degrees nowadays. It's still like 70 degrees.
And that way, during the winter, we're still so angry that everything's warm. And welcome to Combs and Fitz, Windy City Sports Talk. It's your boy, Brandon Combs. Oh, my guy, Ryan Fitzgibbons. Fitzy,
we're back again.
what's going on?
I miss your musk.
I miss your face. That nose, I think about it often.
That's a lot of thinking. That's a lot of thinking you're doing. Yeah. Good. Good week. Good couple of weeks, especially for the Cubs. I went to New York City. A little bit more on that later. That's what we call a tease in the business, Combs.
I might know what that is.
And I'll say take you to the moon. No, but New York City, there's a lot of people there.
There is a lot of people there, man. Look, there's a lot of people there. There's so many people here too. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like at some point when I'm driving to work every morning downtown, I look at traffic and I'm like, how are this many people at the same time going to in the same direction?
We're still doing this. AI is about to take over the world. There's chatbots telling teenagers to kill themselves, and the one AI, I don't know if you heard, was trying to blackmail the guy who wanted to turn her off.
Holy cow! Really? What?
I'll bring up the.
Oh my
because
word.
we should probably at least talk about that a little bit. But they wanted to shut the one AI down to bring on a new AI, and it wasn't going to let the guy do it, and was blackmailing him, saying it was going to tell everybody that he cheated on his wife.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So we got that going on, but still, we all have to drive into work.
This is all iRobot-ish.
Yeah, it's getting really weird out there.
Huh. That's interesting. But man, we got a lot to talk about.
That has nothing to do with sports yet.
Yeah. We do have a lot to cover. We've got the NHL playoffs, going to the Stanley Cup final, and NBA coming up. Not sure if anybody's going to beat Oklahoma City. Cubs look really, really good, man. The White Sox are watchable. They're a lot of fun to watch. They're even the games that they're losing, they're in them. And the Bears, man, a lot of people picking the Bears to win the NFC North. I'm hearing a lot of positivity when it comes to the Bears in the NFC North. I definitely want to touch on that as well, because that it confuses me a little bit. But we'll get to all that, man. Let's start with the Cubs and Sox. So
yes, let's start with the Cubs.
Yeah, Cubs win again today. They take
good story.
It's their 14th series win this season. They have been really, really good. The offense has been good. They had a slow week, but they picked it up today. I was a little concerned about the offense this week just because it's June, and we know what has happened in the last 2 years to the Cubs in June with their offense. So I was a little concerned that they were only averaging, 3 runs a game versus Colorado, who is now 9-50, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, on pace to win about 30 games.
They have a negative. Okay,
There's going to be more of this too.
We have-
Let's get to this. Let's get to the Cubs first. But there's going to be more of this. This isn't going to be the last team that's going to be this bad. Just the way baseball's going.
The White Sox last year were bad, and they had some players with a really bad WAR. Andrew Vaughn with a negative WAR, right?
Yeah.
The Colorado Rockies have a negative team WAR.
We should talk about him too. But yeah, I know.
That is insane.
It is, and it's getting
negative.
It might get worse. There's nobody coming up. Like, at least with the White Sox, you see some of these young players starting to play better. The pitching's getting better. This is going to be a better team. We talked about it. We knew this coming in. Yeah. Even in 30, 40 games from now, they're going to be a much better team. They're a much better team than they were 30, 40 games, but they're a better team than they were than when they faced the Cubs. And that was just a couple of weeks ago. You know,
I agree with you. I agree with you. But the Cubs are playing really well. I know you're a little concerned today with Kyle Tucker going out with the jammed finger and leaving. Luckily, X-rays were negative on that, so that's good news there. The offense, looked really good. PCA, man.
Yeah.
Is he a legit here's the question that
I great mindset too.
I think that Shohei Ohtani, if he stays healthy, is going to run away with the MVP in the National League. However, I don't think that should be the case, right? Because I don't think any Dodger should be eligible for the MVP award with that roster that they have. Like, I just don't. Like, I don't care, because if you took Shohei Ohtani, if you took Mookie Betts, or if you took any of the individual players on the Dodgers off of that team, they would still be a 95 to 100 win team. So that's why, for me, I think MVP should go out the window for those guys. But I understand that Shohei Ohtani is just so much better than everybody else right now.
Yeah.
But I think that PCA is a legit threat for the MVP award. If Ohtani misses a couple of weeks, if whatever the case is, I think you're going to see a movement for PCA, who's now climbed to within 10 to 1 odds to win the award. Yeah, I think he started the season at 75 to 1, and he was 50 to 1. And now he's down to 10 to 1 odds to win the MVP. I hope he can keep it up, man. I really do.
And probably isn't even the second best hitter on the team. Yeah. I mean, Seiya's probably their second best hitter, having a great year, has a better OPS. And then obviously Kyle Tucker, best hitter on the team, even without the stats. Yeah, I mean, and it has a great mindset too. Yeah. Even said, like, my number, I know my numbers aren't going to exactly stay here. He's not going to hit 50 something home runs.
Yeah.
But, which is a great mindset to have for a young player like himself. And I didn't even see it going this far. I'm always like, anybody can do crazy stuff for 60, 70 games, but it looks like.
But here's the thing, like,
it's going to be good for like this. Like, he's not going to be a 40 home run, 50 home run hitter, but he's going to be a very good player, it looks like. And I did not have him as, a team-changing player, like somebody who could carry a team. I did not have him like that.
Well, let's say he doesn't stay on pace for the 50, but let's say he is on pace for 60 plus steals. So let's say he hits that mark, because I think that's achievable for him. He went 3 for 4 again today. Mm-hmm. He's on pace constantly. So if he steals 60 bases, and say he does hit 30 home runs, aren't his 30 home runs and 60 stolen bases, don't you weight that more than Shohei Ohtani's 50 home runs in his lineup? I think you would have to.
It's tough. I mean, Shohei Ohtani might be a victim of his own success anyway. I mean, he's not going to win an MVP every year. Even Mike Trout, who is back then, by far the best player in the league. No one was better than him. He was like 3 or 4 points WAR ahead of everybody else. He accumulated more WAR in like 5 years than anybody did in 10. Like, you can go on and on with him, but
he is on pace for a 10.3 WAR.
Yeah, and but he didn't win every MVP. Trout. Like, eventually they stop voting for you, especially if you're on good teams or even bad teams. If you're on a really, really good team like the Dodgers, I mean, I wouldn't be against that argument. It's just, can he do it for that long? We know Ohtani can.
Yeah, and that the other thing that he has over Ohtani is that he plays defense, and he plays
Jeremiah.
love defense. Maybe one of the best defensive center fielders already in baseball.
Yeah, and you did bring it up. Jeremiah said his WAR is higher than Ohtani's at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, I think he's got to be considered a legit threat. And I get all the people saying that if Ohtani stays healthy, he's going to run away with the award. And I'm not saying that Ohtani's not a good player. I think Ohtani's the best player in baseball right now.
Yeah, and he's going to start pitching soon. He just did a practice session too.
Well,
so
there's another concern too. What if he gets back on the mound and throws his shoulder out again too?
Yeah, which could happen, or the opposite can happen, and he could be great like he usually is, and then it's hard not to give him,
Yeah.
the award,
the MVP and the Cy Young in the same.
Just to have Pete Crow in the conversation this far at June in the season, is amazing. I did not have him in to be maybe be somewhat impactful at best, not to be a guy who could carry a team, and he's carried a team. Not this whole season. There's been obviously we just named a couple players that have been good, but he's carried this team in a lot of different spots, a lot of different areas, getting on base a lot. Obviously running the bases incredibly. And he's a left-handed bat. He's another left-handed bat in this lineup. I'm not worried about the lineup. The only thing, and I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, that you can be scared of is when every single GM dials up a season. How are we going to pitch all these innings? And when you lose a guy like Steele and Imanaga is still out, if I'm not mistaken, you're losing innings. Whether you're taxing your bullpen or taxing people that weren't supposed to start in this season, at least this early in the season, you're going to run out of innings. But they're piling up wins at the right time.
I thought
that's the only thing that would worry me about the team.
I thought PCA at best coming into the season, I thought that you were going to get a PCA who was Albert Almora Jr. or you would really hope for maybe a little bit better, Scott Podsednik from 2000, a la 2005, right, where he hit close to 300, didn't really hit for any power. I don't even think he had home run in that year until the World Series. But he I thought that that's what PCA was going to be throughout his career. A really good defender that you're like, okay, as long as he doesn't kill you with the bat, he'll be good enough. What he is becoming, man, is insane to me. And the fact that the Cubs got him for Javier Baez.
Jeremiah says, let's not forget he's 23.
Yeah.
His discipline. He also says that no one saw the power coming like this. I don't think a lot of people did. Some players, they do say that, have power, and they did say that about Pico, but we just didn't see it. When you don't see it, you kind of go, well, this might be what he is in the majors. I mean, that's baseball. But he's just been an incredible player. He's the story of the season in baseball, in my mind. At least in the National League, he is for sure.
And Jeremiah says here, if you want to win the World Series, you need Imanaga to be your number 3 starter. Now, that I do agree with you. I don't believe Shota Imanaga is a number 1 pitcher. I don't think he can be your ace on a
strikeouts.
Yeah, but here's my thing with that is that this rotation has been so injured, and there's been some time the offense has just carried it.
Yeah.
I mean, this offense is good enough to win despite the lack of pitching, and it's made the pitching a little bit better, I think. I think Colin Ray has woken up a little bit over the last week and remembered that he's Colin Ray. But I think what you're getting is a lot of players. Chris Flexen has been amazing. Has been amazing since the Cubs called him up. I mean, you're getting it from places that you don't know. But I do agree with that, though.
Flexen could be good for you for a string of starts. Yeah. He can. The only thing you worry about is the longevity this season. What does this look like in August and September? Which points me towards a question for you, sir.
Yeah.
We got 30, 45 days here to make a definite decision on what you are trading for. I don't think that's changed since day one in this season for me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have faith in Jed Hoyer? Just because, I mean, they played well, and what is it, 65 games, something like that. Do you have faith in him to make the right trade here? Because you know what you need. You know you need a starter and you need a closer. I mean, that's what you've needed since day one. Does anything change for that for you? Do you want anything else? Is anything else on your wish list?
So I think, and here's my thing. You know where I stood on Jed Hoyer and where I stand on Jed Hoyer before the season even started. Like, I didn't believe he should have been the GM heading into this season. And I think short of a deep playoff run, NLCS or World Series type playoff run, that he should be your GM moving into next year. However, you have to look at the success this team is having, and you have to give him credit for that as well. You have to give him credit for the Chris Flexen signing. You have to give him credit for the things that they're doing and recognizing when there's issues and going and making moves. Now, they haven't been splashy moves because it's only June 1st right now, and you're not going to be able to trade for a Mason Miller on June 1st, right? You have a lot of resources in the minor leagues. You have some players that Owen Casey, Alcantara. You've got a couple of guys that if you are not going to go ahead and get a closer, which I think that Daniel Palencia is really starting to show that he can kind of take on that role. He's a guy who can throw 100 miles an hour. He's a guy with strikeout stuff, and he's been electric in the ninth inning. And if he can continue to be that, then maybe you don't necessarily need a closer. You definitely need a frontline starter. And for me, you might need one more power bat because Matt Shaw has been a good defensive player at third base. He has not been what you thought he would be offensively yet. Maybe he can develop into that because this is where PCA was last year. And then in the second half of the season, PCA just took off. So I'm not saying that you give up on Matt Shaw, but what I'm saying is if you can go out and get a Nolan Arenado and let Matt Shaw have another 6 months in AAA, maybe you go and do that. You know what I mean? Or not even Arenado, the kid from Colorado that everybody talks about. I don't really care for him. Ryan McMahon. You go and get somebody that can give you a little bit of extra pop. The other thing that I think that Jed has done here, and what I think PCA has allowed Jed to do now, is wait on the Tucker thing. Because if PCA continues this trend, if PCA hits 35 home runs and you think that he can continue to be this and what he is, and he's going to cost you 125, 130 million. He turned down the 75 at the beginning of the season. But if you can get him for 10 years at $135 million, $140 million, whatever it might be, that might make it a little bit easier in Cubs fans' minds to not go ahead and sign Kyle Tucker to a $600 million deal. You get what I mean? So now because you do have Alcantara and you do have Owen Casey in the minor leagues and you do have these young guys who you believe can come up and be a thing. Now, I know Owen Casey has struggled down at AAA this year. And Alcantara looks like he might be ready before Owen Casey. But either way, you've got a plethora of options down in your minor league system, especially in the outfield. I mean, we talked about this at length earlier in the season and before the season. They've got a plethora of talent that is a logjam in the outfield in the minor leagues, and they have nowhere to put these guys. So you're either going to trade them for some frontline pitching this year because this is going to be right now. The Cubs have the best record in baseball behind the Detroit Tigers. So they are second
with the Mets
behind the Detroit Tigers, tied with the Mets. If the Yankees beat the Dodgers tonight, they'll be tied with the Yankees. I think if the Dodgers win, they're tied with the Dodgers too. But either way, you're still one of the best teams in baseball right now. So that's where you go and you make your move for whoever you have to make. Whether you go out and can you get Mason Miller from Oakland? I mean, he's a guy with still 5 years left on his contract. It's going to cost you a lot of money to go and get a guy who can throw 100 plus miles an hour consistently and has 5 years left. And it's a little bit scary because you keep waiting for Tommy John to kick in. But you go and you do what you need to do. Do I trust Jed to do it? I kind of have to at this. I think Jed has at least bought that from the Cubs fans and from what we've seen from the team that he's put on the field so far. because what he's put on the field this year is one of the best teams in baseball, and you have to give him credit for that. So to answer your question, yes, I do have to trust him to make the right move here.
Just unfortunate, I think, that to me, I think they should have gotten a new GM. But
I agree.
We'll see what happens in the trade market. He's going to have to make some moves where he's going to lose a little bit. He's not going to be able to pick at the edges forever. If this team is good, like I said, once again, victim of your own success, you're going to have to take some chances.
Jeremiah says I'm not giving PCA enough in my scenario. He's getting the Bobby Witt deal. I would not. I'd be okay with that as well. If you're talking about $300 million for 10 years, that's half of what you're going to pay a Kyle Tucker. I'm okay with that. You have to be certain, though, that this isn't just an aberration.
65 games
career. You know what I mean? So that's where, like, I'm okay with him getting the Bobby Witt deal, and I'm okay with whatever you end up paying PCA. I love this kid. I love watching. I said it today in a group text that I have with a couple of friends of mine that are Cubs fans. PCA is the new El Mago. He just makes things happen. He hits a ball in the gap today that should have been caught. Instead, because of his speed, two outfielders converge on one another, and one just drops the fly ball. They didn't even run into it. He just dropped the fly ball. It's like this is the stuff that was happening to Javier Baez in 2016 through 2018, where things just happen when he's at the dish, and things just happen when he's running the bases. I think he's a stud, and I would give him. I don't even remember what the Bobby Witt deal was. I think it was like 300 maybe or whatever it was. But that's why I'm.
That's why you signed both. You're the Chicago fucking Cubs. Act like it. I agree.
No, I agree too. I don't know if Kyle Tucker wants to sign yet, though. That's my thing. Like that's where I think you have to pause and not really.
You don't need to sign PCA to anything right now. You don't need to do anything with him. He hasn't played well enough yet for a long enough period of time in baseball.
But if you want, like, if he finishes, let's say he finishes his year and he was the runner up for the MVP, you give him the extension. I mean, that's just kind of how it works. I mean, they did the same thing with Bobby Witt. They've done the same thing with other younger players that were good enough to do that. They did the same
thing. Bobby Witt on his second year in the league.
I believe so. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, Bobby Witt's been in the league for 4 years now? I think. I'll ask him on Saturday. I'm gonna talk to him on Saturday.
Bobby Witt.
I'll be at the White Sox games with credentials. I'll be on the field.
All right.
And they are
I
playing.
don't know when he signed, but this is his 4th year.
Yeah.
He didn't play a lot in 22, but enough.
Yeah. What did you see what the deal was?
I'm
looking it up right now.
When I don't know when he signed, but this would be his 4th year. For me, I need a year and a hook. I need a year and a half, and even then, I mean, you just look across. You just look, 60, 70 blocks away, and you have enough players there that had one great year. I mean, even Yohan Moncada had one great year where he was like 4th or 5th. They gave him a contract, bag of shit.
So he signed the contract in his second year. And it was for 11 years, $288 million.
It was after his second year.
Yep, he signed it heading into 2024.
That's how I would do it. You have to. I need 2 years. You need to show me again. In baseball, you do. In other sports, not as much. In baseball, I that's what I need. I mean, there's a guy that's out of the league now, Tim Anderson, that could have got a very big contract. It was one of the better, not the best, but one of the better shortstops in the league for a good amount of time. Now he's basically probably going to be out of the league. I mean, he got DFA'd by the Angels, which is just insane. And maybe this is our segue into the White Sox, but I don't know if we're totally done with the Cubs yet.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say is that I don't think Kyle Tucker wants to sign yet. And I think he wants to test free agency and see what you're going to get. Now, maybe he doesn't, maybe we don't know, and he doesn't even want to play in Chicago. Maybe he like, the atmosphere at Wrigley Field is one of the most electric atmospheres in all of sports. I don't care what anybody says when you watch this team, especially when they're good. The stadium is rocking nonstop. So, but maybe he just doesn't want to be here logistically because he is a West Coast guy.
Oh yeah.
And so he wanted to stay in Houston, and he was very vocal about wanting to stay in Houston, and he was very upset that Houston would trade him. So I would have to say, if you're going to tell me that the Cubs are just completely out of the sweepstakes, then yes, I would have a problem with it. But if you tell me the Cubs offered him $550 over the next 10 years, and he says no, I mean, okay, go play somewhere.
What if the Cubs lose a bidding war?
If they lose a bidding, I'd have to see what the numbers are. You know what I mean? Because I feel like you're getting Justin Tucker.
What if they offer him $5 and they lose $550? Someone else offers him $550 and they lose him.
Yeah, or what if we get a tweet put out that he's on his way to Toronto and he ends up signing with the Dodgers? You know what I mean? Because that's where he was.
The Dodgers have any more room on that team?
But that's where he was going the entire time anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's just one of those like. Just notice that Combs is flexing with his media It's first of all, this is from the media school that I work at.
He is kind of flexing with that. He's Chris flexing.
Media passes up there the entire time. I got the Bulls one. I had the NCAA volleyball championship one up there. Not flexing. That one's not that one. You can't even get anywhere with that one.
My stomach is getting queasy.
Oh. But anyway, but no, I think that you have to look at the situation, and I don't know that there is anybody who. Thank you, Jeremiah. By the way, I don't think that. He says the man's living his dream. Let him fly.
My nightmare.
Yeah. I think you have to look, because I do think that there is a real scenario where Kyle Tucker only wants to play on the West Coast. And I think we have to take that into account. So if the Cubs lose out to a team, did they really lose the bidding war, or was he just always going there anyway?
Well,
like,
that's
Toronto lose the Shohei Ohtani bidding war to the Dodgers?
Toronto or the Dodgers are different than the Cubs, or I don't think the Dodgers have room to sign a Kyle Tucker, but
would
maybe
you
they
play in Los Angeles in late March, early April.
Yeah, goddamn right I would. You're damn right I would. But I've seen this team lose in bidding wars before.
I completely agree with it. And I don't, but I'm just saying, if you're up against something like Toronto was, like Boston was, like every other team that was in on Shohei Ohtani is the fact that he's not going anywhere except for where he wants to go anyway, then you're bidding against nothing anyway, because all you're doing is driving up the price of whatever team on the West Coast is signing him. I mean, I don't know if the Dodgers, you imagine if the Dodgers go get Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, I know. It's just
like what?
And that's the problem that's happening in baseball. I mean, there was a time where,
which is why we're
scouting
next year,
where there was different things happening in baseball. Different ways of looking at baseball players and analyzing them was making teams with less money, at least compete against these larger, these bigger market teams. Well, now that's sort of all is starting to even out. And teams like your Tampa Bays and, even your Twins in a way, teams like that have made it that way. Houston Astros were like this before they got money. Now they spend a little bit, but you see them retooling now. If they're not going to be able to compete with these teams anymore, and teams like the Colorado Rockies, those teams are going to keep happening. That's not good for baseball when you have a team winning 9 games. And I'll say it, the Sox were not good for baseball last year. Sox a little different scenario there, but
Yeah, I think you just got to play it by ear and see how it happens. But I do think that PCA is making it to the point where it's going to make Cubs fans feel easier about it because of how good he is. And if he continues to be this way, if he finishes second in the MVP, there's going to be less Cubs fans that care if Kyle Tucker walks next year, especially if it's like the Dodgers or to whatever team he ends up going to. But I just think that if you're telling me you're going to get a guy who PCA is what 24, if you're telling me you're getting a 24-year-old for the next 10 years as opposed to a 30-year-old for the next 10 years, I mean,
well, Kyle Tucker's what 27?
Yeah, he'll be 28. Yeah, sorry, so 28. You know what I mean? You're going to get a guy who's 33 at the end of his contract or a guy who's 38. Which one do you want? For half the price too.
Well, I mean, I think we're really putting, the car before the fucking horse here.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about
we got to wait a little bit. I mean, yeah. I don't think hitting wise PCA is ever going to be a Kyle Tucker. I don't see that happening, but I could be wrong.
If he's a 10 WAR player. And I mean, right now he's hitting better than Kyle Tucker.
I'd rather have a guy who's been doing it for 5 years than a guy that's doing it for 65 games.
Yeah, no, I agree. But
in my mind,
if it continues this way and he finishes with better numbers than Kyle Tucker at the end of the year, does that change your mind? Even though it's only 1 year?
No,
a year and a half of it because he was good at the end of last year too.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. I'd rather have a Kyle Tucker first, and then you work with PCA after next year. You don't have he's on the best rookie contract for a team in the history, almost in the history of sports. I don't know what contracts were like in the 60s and 70s, but I mean, this baseball, the rookie contracts are insane. 6-7 years. Like, you got time. You can wait 2 years, sign them, do the Bobby Witt thing.
Well, let's talk about a team that doesn't have these problems. Let's talk about the White Sox. Because the White Sox are not signing anybody to any of these contracts anytime soon. I like watching White Sox games. I don't like listening to the call on White Sox games, but I like watching the product that is on the field at White Sox games. I really do. I enjoy the way the season is being played out. I know they're still losing a lot of games. I understand that. But those games that they're losing are by like 1 or 2 runs. I don't think a lot of people realize the White Sox, I think, have the most or second most, right behind the Cubs, I believe, of wins of 6 or more runs.
Yeah, and they got some. I mean, they're young players. This is what you root for when your team's pretty bad. Yeah. I mean, you gotta chase Mydroth, who's an over a 1 WAR player already this season. Yeah. So is Miguel Vargas, who I had almost counted
Andrew Vaughn, right?
Yeah, that's way higher. I mean, Andrew Vaughn isn't even playing in major leagues right now.
Right. Yeah.
He's back in the minors again. You got a guy like Eddie Caro, who just came up not too long ago, who's a half a WAR player.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew Benintendi's even playing good. Maybe a guy you can trade, playing pretty well for Andrew Benintendi. Someone might need a left-handed bat on their team. Lenine Sosa batting 280. I mean, a lot of these guys are either 700 OPS or Miguel Vargas 750 OPS. This is what you root for when a team is this terrible, because they are so bad. But you do have a lot of things that are happening with young players. I mean, you got players coming up. I mean, Kyle Teal's killing the ball. I don't know why he's not up yet.
Are you buying into Will Venable this far into the season? Are you buying into it?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm bought in yet, but definitely an upgrade from Pedro Grifol. And am I going to admit Luis Ripa is officially a bust?
I think you have to.
I'm pretty close, yes. I mean, I'm pretty close. I thought his bat was coming around, and then he had just a couple of miserable games these last couple of games.
Do you think that there's any way, because I fully believe, especially with Latin ball players, man, I fully believe this, that
here comes the racist viewpoint.
No, I think there's something to it when they are playing on a winning team, in a team that is really, really good, and when there's fans in a stadium making it fun. You look at what Javier Baez was with the Cubs, and then you look at what Javier Baez was with the Tigers these last couple of years, and look at what he is now. And now they're the best team in baseball right now. And I just think it brings something different out of them. Do you think that a change of scenery would reinvigorate Luis Roberts' career, or do you really believe he's a bust?
I think I think he's playing in Major League Baseball for at least a couple more years, just because his talent is
That's my
absolutely. I
If the
mean, it's
Reds
hard
were
to
to
say.
go
I mean, and
now-
I'll bring up Jeremiah's comment. Is it time to say that Chris Guys might know what he's doing? He at least and he did spend budget on the right staff to develop players. He did. Josh Barfield might actually be might be the guy. He might be the guy you might want to be GM, because he came from the Diamondbacks, who are still good. Helped build a pretty good team there. He's your assistant GM now. I don't know. These other guys to develop. It's hard to make a case for Luis Robert that it's this team where other guys are developing. Why aren't you? Or why aren't you playing like you did 2 years ago? Last year, lots of injuries. Yeah, he's been injury prone, but it's just really weird to have a guy who hits 38 home runs in an all-star game, is like a 6-WAR player, and then is this. I don't know. The league has obviously adjusted to him, and he shows no sign of adjusting back. That is the definition of not being a very good player. That's just the definition of being an okay player,
So if the Reds were to go get him right now, because the Reds are still a team that I believe is still going to be a threat, in the only threat to the Cubs in this division. I think the Cardinals will eventually fade away. I really do. I don't think that they can keep up what they've been. I mean, they're still 4 or 5 games out, and they've been they've won 17 of their last 23. And so I think at some point they fade away, because they can't keep this up. They can't keep up winning the way in the fashion that they've been winning. Do you believe that Luis Robert on a Reds team with a guy like Ellie De La Cruz, do you think that reinvigorates something in him, and you can see the because we both have said this, if he's healthy, he can be an MVP candidate, and we fully believe this. Do you think that he returns to that form if he goes to a team like the Reds, or maybe even the Mets?
At this point, maybe. I mean, I don't doubt his talent. I mean, he's leading the league in stolen bases right now, the American League, and he's batting 180. So I'm not going to doubt his talent. It's just, I mean, it's hard to say. Christ's sakes. He's losing his mind over there.
Not like Luis Robert at all, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with him much right now. I mean, I really thought he'd have a better season by now, and I hoped he would, because then you're probably getting a couple more top prospects, and you got prospects playing well in the minors. You got prospects playing well in the major leagues right now. I just named a few of them. Mydroth looks like a really tough out right now.
He looks good. Yeah,
and he's run. I mean, he might be a player. Boston did not want to get rid of him when they traded with Boston, and it's kind of, you shake your head. I don't know, that Ellie De La Cruz home run to center field today.
Dude, I love Ellie. He's one of my favorite players in baseball to watch.
Dynamic athlete.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where I think that, like, some of the things that have gone on with because you look at Jake Berger right now out in Texas, having a good year. You look at Gavin Sheets out in San Diego, having a good year.
I've seen him have 60 good games before. So I've seen that Gavin Sheets before. I've seen how long that swing is.
But
okay.
if
that division's going to come back to you, Gavin, and see where you're at. Let's see where you're at in September.
Okay, I understand that, but it just looks like they are enjoying themselves more than they were in Chicago. And so that's where I think that if you get some of these players who are underperforming and who are not looking very good, is it because they're playing for a team that they know is competing to win 60
Yeah,
games?
but you still got in baseball more than anything else. You still got to play. You're playing in it, basically sort of an individual sport here. Like you're playing for yourself.
But are you, especially an injury-riddled, player like Luis Robert is, are you going all out for a team that you know is only going to win 60 games? Or are you going to play it safe and not play as hard as you normally would because you don't want to hurt yourself for a team that's only going to win 60 games?
And you want to be traded. Well, you got to play better than this, or you're going to get traded and you're not going to play in this league. You're going to be out of this league like Eloy Jimenez. Your buddy who was in left field is out of the league. You're going to be out like Tim Anderson is out of the league. Yeah. Jeremiah says people that were in the minors with Vaughn said they'd be getting extra BP and doing drills, and Vaughn was out golfing. And he also says that could be the problem with Luis Robert. I never thought that was the problem with Luis Robert. I just thought he had some bad injuries, some bad luck. And yeah, it's just you kind of shake it. Maybe that is it. Maybe it's concentration. He's a young guy that did get paid. He did get money. International player, then got paid while he's here to stay here a couple more years. That was a part of the Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams era where they would give guys contracts, and then if maybe the team didn't do as well, they could trade those guys away because they were on favorable contracts. It worked with Chris Sale, it worked with Quintana, it worked with Adam Eaton, but it did not work with these players who maybe came over here from Latin America, got a payday, and not like Americans, didn't know how to deal with the success. That could be something that I think I can get behind a little bit more, like Yohan Moncada shooting music videos in the off season, and I think during the season. And then there was guys that got contracts, guys like Tim Anderson, and you could say what you want about Tim Anderson. Most of that contract, Sox paid good money. I mean, they got their money and then some for the most of that contract. There was only 1 year left on that contract when he left. Other players, not so much. And a lot of those players, unfortunately, came from Latin America, where you got to hit your way out. I mean, yeah. I'm not saying it. It's just a different world that they lived in.
No,
the Dominican Republic, and then you got a guy like Jose Abreu who would freaking die for you. So,
no, I'm with you. I think that these guys, I think that you could see a change in scenery could help them, but they could just be they are what they are at this point. I mean, I completely agree with that. Megan TV says 2 questions: who's winning NBA title and who's winning the Stanley Cup? Well, Megan, teaser for you. We'll find out here shortly, right after we get to everybody's
It is Fitz gibberish, a diatribe, a conspiracy theory, and an island in the middle of unapologetic and sometimes inaccurate sports talk. I almost couldn't remember Rick Hahn's name. I kind of want to forget Rick Hahn's name. Maybe that's why. But anyway, he's either dumb or lazy. Don't swing at the slider, idiot. Yeah, that is Luis Robert's fault. But anyway, like I said earlier in the show, Fitz gibberish tackled New York City this past week. Yes, you heard me right. I went to New York City for a couple days this past week. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, is the saying. I couldn't make it from 32nd and 5th Avenue to Times Square without getting trampled. So who knows where that leaves me? I don't know. A little bit better than the Women's College World Series ratings, Combs. I would hope. Anyway,
I'm watching right now, Oklahoma, Oregon. Oklahoma's up 3-1 top of the 4th.
Stop. Anyway, stop.
Okay.
Anyway,
just because you don't like women.
To be continued. Yeah, that's why. Anyway, when I was in New York, I went to a bar called the Brass Monkey, the Funky Monkey, and saw Knicks fans watch in disbelief as their team went down 3-1 to the lower seeded Pacers. They would later lose to the Pacers and lost Game 6 last night and the series 125-108. Knicks. What happened to your season? It was all being lined up for you, New York Knicks. The top seed is knocked off by the Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jason Tatum ruptures his Achilles, and you win a series against Boston. It was all looking good. And Tom Thibodeau, beard plus comb over combo, had all the ladies purring. Meow. No.
No, I'm not going with you on that one.
Anyway, it was going to be the first time the Knicks were in the finals since the turn of the century when Combs didn't even have any children yet. Do you have any memories of those days, Combs? Do you even remember not having kids?
Yeah, that was when I had a life.
Moving on. Then you piss the bed. I'm not a guy who shares the last name with a company who rebuilt Iraq after the U.S. blew it up in Tyrese Halliburton. And he whooped your ass. My Lord, Knicks, will there ever be a hole opened up this big for you to run through again? It was like Tiger Woods going on a golf tour in the 90s. Or is the curse of Michael Jordan's nuts in Patrick Ewing's face going to haunt you forever? The curse of the screaming scrotum. No? Honestly, here's to 52 years and counting since an NBA championship, Knicks fans. And as this New Yorker will tell you that got kicked out of the bar I was in for smuggling beers in, maybe it's time to start lying to yourselves.
You are gross. Good night, man. They're coming. Good night, man. Good night. For being a ballerina. Good night, with man. A bag of beer on my kids being bad. I don't have cancer. I'm rich. I'm a ballerina. Man. I'm waiting for my boyfriend once again that owns a canine. Good. You are I'm so sorry. You are fucking sick. You get your fucking hands off. Give me your name so I can sue you. Please give me your name so I can sue you. What? For that. Oh, right there. For what? For just assaulting you. Oh, for just assaulting. Yes, exactly. It's on camera, man.
Yes, that happened.
What the hell did we just watch and why?
And I don't think she was a ballerina. And that's Fitzgibberish. Combs.
What the hell did we just watch and why? What did that have to do with the Knicks?
It happened in a bar in New York City. It's part of the story of my visit to New York City. Did you lose the through line?
I think what happened, you were like, hey, I need to find a way to put this video on. And you're just
Well,
like,
that too.
hey, the Knicks, you lose. Here's this video of this random drunk woman.
That too. But
was that you
part of
recording
the story? I started out with I went to New York City. I'm sorry if you're masturbating to college baseball players over there.
First of all, that's not what's going on. I miss the old days where you can give these mouthy
women a smack. Wow. She was a ballerina. That's all I'm saying.
Was that you recording the video?
Yes, it was me recording the video. I had to.
That's wild. What?
Yeah, that was a part of the story of me being in New York City.
What did you slip in her drink?
I didn't slip anything in her drink. She was sitting over there. The guy was telling her to leave because she was smuggling beers in, and she started spouting off the mouth. I don't think she was a ballerina. It's already on my YouTube channel, Megan TV. It is already on our YouTube channel.
Oh boy.
Put it on your YouTube and it will go viral.
Put it on TikTok.
It's also, maybe I should.
Yeah.
And I also tagged it back to our show.
I heard that going live on TikTok is the way to go. Somebody was telling me the other day they'll go on live on TikTok and people will just like start sending like gifts or whatever on the TikTok, and they say they make like $60 a day just
Yeah,
going out and talking to people.
there was someone when the Tyson fight was happening when Netflix couldn't broadcast it, and basically Jeremiah just called Doubting Thomas Archie Bunker. But there was just a kid who had the Tyson fight because Netflix had it and was put it up on TikTok and made a few $100s from it.
That's crazy. Well, guess we need to start going live on TikTok.
Yeah, we got to start doing this whole TikTok thing. But
yeah, we got to get with the TikToks. With the TikToks. No, look the Knicks.
Tom Thibodeau. I thought they'd win that series.
Tom Thibodeau's never winning a
got their entire starting lineup isn't hurt.
He's never winning an NBA title as a head coach. He just doesn't know how to do it. Like, he does not know how to win that way. Like, he is the epitome of a regular season coach because he gets these talented teams and they can go for 6 or 7 months because of how hard he pushes them. But then once you get to the playoffs, by then you're exhausted because he doesn't know how to handle a roster.
Name it ballerina Karen.
I
agree with you.
I picked the Pacers in that series. I bet the Pacers before that series to win that series, and I also bet them to win the NBA title. Now that looks bad because the odds before when the Pacers were going into the Eastern Conference Finals, I got the Pacers to win the title at plus 450. After they won the Eastern Conference Finals, their odds went to plus 550. Because that's how good Oklahoma City has been.
Yeah, I mean they are. It's the best offense in the league against the best defense.
And I mean they were a game away from Denver knocking them out. And I think Oklahoma City probably wins this series. But I mean I'm obviously rooting for the Pacers because I got money on the Pacers. But I think the Pacers can push it. I think they can get 6 out of this. But I don't think that they can win this. I mean, this is going to be tough. Halliburton's been phenomenal. Siakam's been phenomenal in these playoffs. With the Pacers go on these runs of scoring that are like anything that I've never seen in basketball. Like they will go on a 30-point stretch, like of like 4 or 5 minutes, and you're just like, well, they're not missing a shot. It's incredible to watch. They're a lot of fun. And I wish that at some point maybe the Bulls could get something.
I don't think so. They keep going for the playoffs when they're not going for the playoffs.
Is Tibbs turning into the baby from Cocomelon? I mean, he's turning into something. I would never pick a Tom Thibodeau-led team to win.
I don't think I think there's a lot of teams, and you could say this is right or wrong or whatever you want to say about it, that rest their players, and he doesn't seem to rest his players enough.
Dude, when they were clinching the game to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, the Game 7 that they were in to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, they were up by 40. And in the fourth quarter, I was watching Jalen Brunson check back into the game. Up by 40. Like, are you kidding me? What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and this is Tom Thibodeau, baby from Cocomelon.
That's
Thibodeau, Cocomelon.
Hilarious.
Not as close as DJ Moore being Trudy from Facts of Life, but close enough. But
I
don't.
They won't do that against OKC. OKC is a really good. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league right now, if not the best defensive team in the league right now, and they might be one of the best teams we've seen in a long time because, I mean, they are really, really good. They can beat you from all angles. SGA is the face of the NBA right now. He just is. I mean, they were trying to force feed everybody Anthony, and it wasn't.
He's too young. He's not old enough yet. No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think SGA might be younger. Either that or they're probably around the same age. I just think SGA is just more polished SGA can carry.
You got a lot of guys there too. Who's the guy that used to be on the Bulls? Was on the Bulls for a while. He's a great defender.
And I agree with what Charles Barkley said the other night. This might be the worst form of Oklahoma City that we see because they're going to get better. They're going to make moves in the offseason. Can you imagine this OKC team if the rumors are true and they're going to land Giannis?
Alex Caruso, he's the player. But yeah, I know. I've heard that. And yeah, they got room on the cap. Like that's a well put together team. That's a team that waited years and put things together and didn't get the 9th and 10th seed 3 years in a row. And they have everyone's draft pick for the next 10 years. Yeah.
They do have a lot of draft picks, but the draft capital, I mean, but if they land Giannis, I mean, they're probably going to end up trading guys like Alex Caruso and a bunch of other players to get Giannis. But you're going to pair up SGA and Giannis, and you're going to build around that. This could be a dynasty in the waiting.
And and I just think it was an interesting playoffs for an NBA that needed it, but I don't know how happy the NBA is with OKC Pacers in the finals. But I mean, I think they would have been happier with the Knicks there for sure. But it was an interesting playoffs for NBA where TV ratings were way down this year, where they just got battered this year for the first time. This down, and I can't even remember how long. I don't know what the exact numbers were. I know they were way down for pretty much every team. I know they were way down for the Bulls.
Yeah.
That had a lot to do with Comcast and that whole thing and regional sports, but the way regional sports is changing. But
so to answer the stunning Megan TV's questions, the NBA title, I'm picking OKC. I'm rooting for Indy, but I'm picking OKC.
Yeah.
You're going with OKC too?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard not to, especially how they just completely dismantled some teams in this playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, some of the games or series they've been with were over already, but I mean, I'm in Indiana. So,
and the NHL,
Indiana.
The NHL now with Edmonton, and we're getting a rematch of Edmonton and Florida.
Yeah.
With Edmonton, you're probably looking at
who cares about Florida hockey?
Dude, Florida's so good, though.
I'll say it again.
They're the Stanley Cup champs.
I know. I think I screamed about this last year. Do I have to yell about it again? Who cares about Florida?
Well, they've been to 3 straight. You might as well get used to it because this team's really good. They're the bullies of the NHL. They hit like nobody's business. I believe they had over 400 more hits than the team with the second most hits in the NHL this year. That's insane. And they do try to play bully hockey with you. I think Edmonton can score with it. The way they made Jake Ottinger look pedestrian. I mean, they made Jake Ottinger look like he was me in net. And I mean, he did not look good. I remember betting game, what was it, 5? I bet Jake Ottinger at 28 plus saves, and he was pulled after 2 shots. They made him look really, really bad.
What else do they have in Edmonton? I mean, Florida's got cocaine, beaches, bath salts,
and Brad Marchand. So
Florida's entire state is basically Walmart.
The
inside of Walmart. I mean, what does Edmonton have? They have to start their cars after the second period so they don't freeze in during their games. I mean,
they have the Jesus of hockey, Connor McJesus. Connor McDavid's a beast. They've got look with that line of McDavid and Draisaitl, like they've got a team that can score at will. Like Edmonton's not out of this thing. I think Florida has the better goalie. Bobrovsky by far is the better goaltender, but
just numbers.
I think that I think Edmonton can make this a series. I think this is a 7-game series, and for me, I'm going to pick Florida. I think Florida is going to win it. I'm rooting for Florida because I never root for the Stanley Cup to go back to Canada. But I think Edmonton's got a legit shot.
I'm going to be rooting for Edmonton.
You will.
The little engine that could. Come on.
You Canadian bastard.
Is there ever a Connor
Un-American?
Is Connor Bedard ever going to be McDavid? Is that ever going to...
I don't know. I can't answer that question for you right now. Right now, look, he's still a work in progress, and they are still a really bad team, and they've still got a lot of building around him to do. Now they've got the 3rd overall pick again this year. They're going to have some pieces to build around. They've got a lot of cap space to do the work. They've just got to go out and do the work. I don't know that. I don't think Bedard's ever going to be McDavid, but I think that Bedard could be McDard. Yeah.
Are we
Bedard.
already saying that he's not going to be as good as we thought he was going to be? Doubting Thomas says no, he's not.
I don't. I think it's too early. I do.
Bedard will never beat McDavid.
I think you know where I think we're at with the Bedard thing is the same.
Jeremiah's behind me with the Oilers.
It's the same spot we were 2 years after Justin Fields, where we just don't know because the coaching hasn't been there.
Don't compare it to that.
That's what I'm saying. That's where we're at. A guy we think can be really good, and he's shown spurts of like the last 3 months of this year were really good for Connor Bedard. But you also have to look at the fact he gets no calls. He gets no call. Like, I mean, he gets taken out all the time, and there's no call on it. Like, it got to a point where he had taken 2 penalties for abuse of an official, which he didn't even really do anything. He just yelled at him about the fact that they didn't make a call. And said they penalized him, but I mean they were legit gripes, and it happens to him all the time. He gets bullied in front of the net, he gets bullied along the boards, and nothing happens. So I think we're still a year or 2 away from knowing what Connor Bedard's ceiling is going to be. But so far, it hasn't been what you're right. It hasn't been what we thought it was going to be, and he's not Patrick Kane, and he's not he's not Jonathan Taves. He's just we've got to give him time to develop because this team, though the teams that they had around, but Taves and Kane were teams that allowed them to develop. The teams weren't this bad around Taves and Kane.
Yeah, and you got a Hossa in there too, not just Taves.
Yep.
People sometimes forget how big Marian Hossa was to that team. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the Bedard thing, you just got to wait and see, and we'll find out. Bears, man, let's transition.
Before we get to the Bears,
I
want to share a little benefit that we both went to last year, since we're going to talk about the Bears.
And we'll be going this year too.
Yeah, it is a benefit for one of our first fans of the show when we first started off, who was at our first remote. That didn't go very well. But anyway, Friends for Fitz is again this year. It's a great benefit. Helps local families on the south side of Chicago. Families that need it for medical reasons. My cousin, Bill Fitzgibbons, he's the person that we were talking about, was one of our first fans of this podcast, was sick for a long time, and he benefited from benefits like this. It's from 2 to 10 at the St. Christina Fields. People can make it. It's a great event, great time for kids, adults, drinking, food. Yes. I know you had a blast. Everybody knows you had a blast. Everybody knows your mother-in-law had a blast. but anyway,
we're having a blast again this year, by the way.
yes. But anyway, go to Friends for Fitz. So just what Combs yells at me weekly.com. Friends for the number 4 Fitz.com. If you want to donate, if you want to look at some of the events, it's just a great benefit. Like I said, we do it every year. Was a fan of the show. Basically commandeered our show at Bourbon Street, yelling about the Bears.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about Bears, I figured it was a perfect time to talk about Bill Fitzgibbons, who's a great guy. And this is a great event. We'll talk about it some more. We hope to have one of his sisters on next week if we can, in the Combs Casa. to talk a little bit more about it, cut up some tape on it, and send it out to everybody. So there'll be a lot of information on this for anybody who's listening. Now we're listening to our recorded show later on, so we'll have more information.
And if anybody's confused by it's friends for Fitz. If Fitz said what I yell at him every week, it's not heydickhead.com.
Oh.
It's friendsforfitz.com. Usually if I yell anything at Fitz, it's Fitz, you have no friends. But it's not that either. It's friendsforfitz.com.
And Jeremiah is going to try to make the trek.
Attaboy.
Let's go. Come on, Jeremiah.
We talked about this last year. Are we doing the show at Friends for Fitz this year?
I can ask again. All the music was already set up.
Okay.
So they said if someone goes down, and someone can't do the music, we can do it.
I mean,
I would love to do it.
So go ahead and get somebody to go down.
They had it because it's such a big benefit. 1,400 people were there last year. We have meetings monthly, and I was going to try to do our show at one of the bars. We couldn't do it the 1 week you were in Iowa, pimping out your daughter, 2 running backs. And then they had a party. We had it at Bar 106 this month. I kid. Sorry, Michelle. It's a joke. It's a joke.
It's just a joke. It's just a joke.
And Doubting Thomas does say Bedard was supposed to be better by now. Even by himself.
Yeah, I can probably put together a basket that we can.
Yeah, they still need baskets. I should have mentioned that. They still need baskets. All the email information's there. Also, we're one of the main sponsors there too. So our insignia is going to be on the back of any shirts you buy. That's on my Facebook page, Combs. If you want to get a shirt, you have 1 week left to get a shirt.
Oh yeah, we got to keep doing that.
So
it's
our it's going to be on a big banner there as well. You'll see Combs and Fitz, Windy City Sports Talk. So
yeah, let's. I'll definitely get one. I still have the one from last year where, I think I ended up commandeering somebody's. I think it might have been Mark's. I don't know. But yeah, no, definitely. We I think I saw the link the other day. I like the one that they have that's like the Chicago flag with the shamrocks or something in there.
Yeah.
Really
the
cool.
hoodie. Yeah, that's really cool. They got some really cool stuff.
For sure. No, excellent time. Anybody that can come out, feel free to come out. We'll try to get a couple people to come out. See what we can do. Maybe we can get the guys from Lawrence Holmes to come down, hang out for a day.
Yeah. Great.
So
even if it's just an hour or two, it's a good event. I mean, people have fun there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Bears were, they a lot of people, man, including a guy who I talk to every day because
here we go.
He hosts the show that I produce.
Here we go.
Ryan Horvat loves the Bears to win the NFC North. A lot of people are agreeing with him. Can you get there? Can you get there with the Bears to win the North? I mean, I could see the Lions taking a small step back. I think they're still really talented, but I do think that, when you lose both of your coordinators who were thought to be the brains of the operation, I think you'll see a little bit of regression there. So I think instead of 15 wins for that team, I think you could see them at somewhere like a 12 or 11, especially because it is a tough schedule for the NFC North this year out of division. I don't think the Packers are going to be very good again. I think 9-8 for the Packers is about where I'm at when I look at their schedule. And the Vikings are kind of the unknown, right? Like the Vikings could be an 11 to 12 win team, or they can be a 6-11 team. Because you don't know what JJ McCarthy is going to be, but you do trust that coaching staff, right?
Yeah.
So I think for the Bears, I don't think I get to them winning the division, but I can get them out of the basement of the division. I can get them to 9 wins, maybe 10 at the most. You could probably talk me into 10 where I would be like, I'm not going to bet it, but okay, we'll go with it and let's hope that you're right. I can't get above that. I just can't. Now, I mean, you would have to tell me that. I mean, if they win more than 10 games this year, I don't think there's any in between. I think you're either a 9 to 10 win game, 9 to 10 win team, or you're a Super Bowl contender with this team.
And if the Bears exact a trade for Tyreek Hill, do you change your calculus?
I don't want Tyreek Hill anywhere near this locker room. I do believe that within the next day or two, you will see Nick Chubb as a Bear, though.
Yeah, that looks like that makes a lot of sense. You know, maybe they don't like Roshan Johnson, but he's not Nick Chubb anyway. At least it didn't look like it. It looked like he took a step forward last year. Did have a concussion late in the year, but I mean, Nick Chubb, much more established player. Looks like he's healthy. That all makes sense to me. You have to get some kind of running back in there at some point here. You would think
they had to wait till after June 1st to sign him. So I think that's what the delay has been. But I think it makes a ton of sense. I think that him and DeAndre Swift played together in college. They were teammates. I think that it makes a ton of sense for a lot of reasons. He's a tough style of running back that Ben Johnson would love to have. I think it's going to happen. I think that's the most realistic. Do you want Tyreek Hill?
No, I don't think so for what he'd be worth. I know they'll want DJ Moore for him and maybe a pick thrown in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely not trading you a pick. I'm definitely not trading you a pick.
Tyreek Hill is what at this point, 3-4 years older than DJ Moore.
Yeah.
You just drafted a wide receiver to get another one and then to play with that. I just don't see the point of it.
And not only that,
a story in a couple different publications have the story out now that it's possible someone might trade for him, but I don't see it. I always saw him going back to the Chiefs, really.
Yeah, not with this locker room. I mean, not what you don't want him, coming in, especially with he's been in New England for what a couple of weeks, and he's already skipping OTAs, but taking selfies while he's out on a boat with some mysterious substance. I don't want any part of Tyreek Hill and his 19 baby mamas. I don't want any part.
3 babies in 1 year
with 3 different women.
I mean, what?
That's wild.
I mean, some guys have triplets in different ways.
Yeah.
Also, though, Joe Tooney was given a contract, getting a 2-year extension, and I quickly texted you back, please stay healthy, fat white guy.
Yes.
Please stay healthy. He's 34. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
Joe Tooney's 34. So that'll, they'll have him till he's 37.
What's up, Nicole? Thanks for joining the show. We appreciate you. He's not. Was he? No, I don't think he's that old, is he?
While you're looking it up, I'll get to Jeremiah Murray. They just didn't use Roshan. I still think he can do everything Swift can do. I don't know.
No, I really think
Swift is pretty fast out of the backfield. Catches the ball really well out of the backfield. I think Swift. What'd you say?
You know what I mean? They ran them. Joe Thuney is 32. They ran them backwards.
32.
They like where you felt like you could run Roshan through the tackles.
Yeah. In between the tackles,
to the outside, they ran them backwards.
Yeah,
they running the opposite. So I agree with Jeremiah. I just think that they need to use Roshan the right way. I love Roshan Johnson. I think Roshan Johnson could be a beast if he's used the proper way. I don't know that he necessarily fits this scheme though.
Vegas win total for the Bears is
8.5.
8.5. I have them winning 8 games.
Yeah,
Which I think is still in my mind for the Ryan's Poles era, year 4. I think that's almost a disaster in my mind.
So
If they go 8 and 9. I mean, I think it is a disaster. There's no teams in the NFL that go, okay, we're going to rebuild for. What's that?
You said you have them winning 8 games, but it's a disaster.
I think 8
You
9
think
would,
it's a disaster?
I think would be a disaster over his complete career as the GM of the Bears. I think 4 years of being basically a bad team, a sub 500 team, 4 years of that. It just doesn't, you don't keep your job in the NFL anymore. You don't build a team over 4 and 5 years in the NFL. You do not do that. That does not happen. This isn't baseball.
I agree, but my concern with what you're saying though is that it's a disaster, but you're picking it. So you're picking that this team's going to be a disaster.
I still think Caleb Williams is the guy. I'm not saying that Ben Johnson is going to be terrible at his job, but I still think there's gaping holes in this team. I don't think you have a definitive edge rusher. I think even Sweat is seen as, a pretty good edge rusher, but also a run stopper, like doesn't just do edge rush, is not just an edge rusher. Tell me where your other edge rusher is. I mean, could somebody tell me who it is? I forget the guy that they got from free agency. But he's not an edge rusher. He's never had more than 5 sacks. Like, where is the edge rusher coming from? And I still think you have a problem at left tackle. I think you have a gaping problem at left tackle. I don't care if people are going to go, oh, the center's more important. The left tackle, blind side, still pretty important in football. I still think you have a problem there. I think we just talked about a problem. I don't think you have a great running back. I think you could have drafted a running back in this draft pretty easily.
And Danko is the guy then. The other edge rusher.
Yeah.
Sacks last year?
How many sacks did he have last year?
I think he had 3. I'll look it up. I think he had 3 last year. I think he said.
I mean, they still have all these deficiencies. That's why, I mean, especially me and Jeremiah, we talked about a couple weeks ago when we had Jeremiah filling in for you, Combs. We talked about, in a microcosm, getting Colston Loveland, good pick. Not a great pick, good pick in my mind. I don't have anything bad or good to say or great to say about it. I don't have anything terrible to say about it. But then you get the wide receiver right afterwards. It just scratches my head. And then you put on top of that your take on it, which was, what were they doing in the later rounds of that draft?
Yeah. No, I agree with that assessment. Like, I think that what you saw with the Luther Burden pick was that you get a guy that your head coach wanted. I think that they were allowing the coaching staff to pick their players. I'm not going to tell you that it was a great pick, and I'm not going to tell you that I was in love with the Bears' first 4 picks. I thought that they did okay. I thought it could have been worse, but I thought that it was a good sign that they were heading in a different direction. I will say that about those picks. I thought that the first 4 picks, it was a good sign that you're allowing your coach, because it's not something the Bears would have done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, it's just, you got a guy in the first round as a wide receiver last year. So are you saying that was probably a bad pick, picking up Roman Dunze, and now you're making another pick over that? You have a very expensive offensive line that I just told you is probably just going to be mediocre. I don't see this. Do you see this offensive line being great? You're paying a lot of money now for an offensive line that is not going to be great.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem moving forward. I just don't see how this all pieces together. And I think this could be a scenario where we have a coach who has 2 GMs. I think it's possible.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
look, I'm with you as far as the 8 to 9 wins. Because I'm kind of there with you. Like I'm at the 9 win mark. You could probably talk me into 10. I think 4-2 within the division is really possible with this team. I mean, it could even be better than that considering what they were last year. 3 of those 5 losses that they had within the division were by a combined 7 points, and 2 really big coaching disasters in those games
oh boy.
allowed to lose. I don't think that happens again. So I do think that 4-2 in this division is really possible. And then you have to find 5 wins outside of the division. And I think that but you better beat New Orleans. I think you can beat Pittsburgh. And I think you can beat Cleveland. So there's 3 of those 5 wins. It's from there where I struggle, right? Because Dallas is good, especially early in the season. They're one of those teams that if they're clicking on all cylinders, they could be one of the better teams in the NFC East. Then you got Vegas, and I know Vegas. People look at Vegas and they're like, "Oh yeah, what are they going to be?" But look, Pete Carroll did not go there to lose football games. He just didn't, and it's going to be a really.
No, I don't like the man, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. So now you're talking about your other games are at Washington, at Baltimore, at Cincy. You could probably beat the New York Giants. You should beat the New York Giants. So there's 4 wins outside of the division. But then you beyond that, you're at Philly, and you're at San Francisco. So
and San Francisco's coming back this season. I don't see them having back-to-back bad seasons.
So that's where they got the good thing about San Francisco is you go there in week 17, and by then they could have 95 players on the IL.
Yeah, they could.
That's the good thing about San Francisco, and that's a good thing. That's where it's tough with the schedule because you don't know where teams are going to be at in their schedule. But some of these teams like Cincinnati and Baltimore and Washington, these are going to be teams that are tough to beat. These are playoff teams. So there's where I'm going is if that's why I say there's no in between. You are either an 8 to 9 win team or you're a team that is going to compete for the Super Bowl, because if you do get to 11 or 12 wins, that means you beat Washington. That means you either beat Baltimore or Cincy in Baltimore or Cincy. That means you beat Dallas. That means you're taking care of playoff teams and beating playoff teams. And if you're there, then now my expectations are higher. Right? Because if you're showing me in the regular season, you can beat these teams, especially in the NFC, where the NFC is not going to be very strong beyond the Philadelphia Eagles. That's why I say it's either an 8 to 9. I don't think there's a middle ground there.
There is a chance that this division takes a step back.
I agree.
Maybe, and I think at best or close to at best, it takes a half a step back. At least I'm talking the other teams. I'm not talking the Bears, because I don't think the Packers got any better. And I don't, we both don't believe in that quarterback. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm saying he's not great. And for the Packers, I don't think they take a step forward this season. I don't think Detroit. How does Detroit take a step forward this season? We saw Jared Goff perfectly, very good to great quarterback. He's as good as he'll ever be. He is at the ceiling, and that's a compliment for him.
Yes.
But there is no more you're going to get out of Jared Goff, and it might not be enough.
And you're going to see a decline at some point. And
JJ McCarthy, I don't think is going to be great right off the bat. I don't care who his coaching staff or wide receivers are.
Yeah,
I just don't see it happening.
I agree. I think the rest of the division
they lost a lot of players.
All the Bears are taking a step forward. That's why I think that 8 to 9 wins is where they're at, just because of their out of division schedule. If this was a year where they were playing, like a very soft out of division schedule, like they were playing against the NFC and AFC Souths, I would have a completely different outlook on the schedule. But they're not. They're playing the AFC North and they're playing the NFC West. So for me, that's where I'm like, you've got to look at this, and that's why I can't see, because if you're winning 10 to 12 games, would you agree with me where I'm saying that if you're winning 10 to 12 games, you're probably a legit contender to represent.
Oh yeah, I would think with this schedule, even though I don't like to do that in the NFL because teams can go up and down, but there's teams there that have really been solid every year. I don't think Cincinnati's going to be worse than they were last year. Same thing, like I said with San Francisco. You're right; there might be injured, but the Eagles are not going anywhere. The Eagles might even get better, which is scary.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those teams on the list have very good quarterbacks, very solid teams, very good coaches. Where I don't see them taking major step backs. If they win 11-12, this is a rousing success. And I know, that's a thin margin of error, 3 or 4 games, but that's how the NFL works. And if you're 8-9 again and you have 4 losing seasons in a row, how many GMs keep their job after 4 losing seasons?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And with Jeremiah saying I'm not playing this game, they've got to show me. I think we're all in that same boat.
Yeah,
we're all in that same boat. I
think 8 games. I think only winning 8 games, like I said, it's maybe not a complete disaster, but it's pretty bad.
I would pick them at 8 to 9 wins is where my pick is going to be. And I anything over that though is where you start to, because at that point, Jeremiah, they would be showing you on the field. If they get to 9, 10, 11 wins, they are showing you on the field because they're beating really good football teams to get there. We went over 8 like the 4 wins. If they get 4 wins within the division, the other 4 wins against the Saints, against the Giants, against the these other teams that are lesser than what they are, sure. But then when you get beyond that, now you're playing some of the best teams in all of the league. So you didn't ask, but my profile pic is sexual harassment in a
library/bookstore.
Mixing it up. Why
does he have?
We don't ask anymore.
Yeah,
we don't care. We just expect it now.
I know what he's referencing, and I'm going to slap the shit out of him. Is what's going to happen. Poles
doesn't lose his job if they win 8 because it's an improvement.
And
what I'm saying, and I know what you're saying, and
I'm saying is I think he probably deserves to.
I agree. We both are in the same boat as Poles as we are with Jed Hoyer, where
similar.
You've ruined it so much that even if you do a good job, I think that somebody else can do a better job. And so that's where I'm kind of at with it. I agree, though, he doesn't lose his job if they win 8 games. They win less than 8 games, he loses his job. But if they win 8 games or more, he's keeping his job. And I think that if they win less than 8 games, we have a huge problem.
Yes,
and we're gonna have
something's gone wrong.
We're gonna have a huge talk. Whether of course, you got to see how they got there, right? Did Caleb get hurt in week 1 and is out for the season? You know what I mean? But I need to get past 9. I would never pick that going into this season, and I'm going to have to see it happen on the field. You're going to have to shock me, because it would shock me for them to get anywhere 10 or more wins. It would shock me.
And on top of that all, is Jaquan Brisker okay? Like, would we even know that? They didn't even get
at the end of last year, he said he was okay, and he said, I believe the story was, if they were a competitive team, he would have played. So I don't know, and we're going to find out, right? Like, is he going to be a guy? Is he Tua-like, where he's just going to have a lot of concussions? Is it a career-threatening thing where this guy he might never reach his full potential? He might never reach what you thought he was going to be coming out of college, which a lot of people thought he was going to be. It would be a sad story for Jaquan Brisker to end up like that, but it could be it. I mean, in that's something that they would have to overcome as well. There's a lot of things they have to overcome. The whole Caleb thing keeps blowing up, and I love the way Caleb answered it this week. Did you hear the Caleb answer on that this week?
No, I did not.
So they asked Caleb about the whole thing with his dad. And he's like, yeah, it's unfortunate that it came out in this manner. He's like, but I feel like when you're trying to have success, people want to hold you down. He said, and my whole reason for coming here was because I wanted to be a part of turning around this franchise.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a great quarterback here, like, oh my God, Jim McMahon wasn't even that good. And I was at Bourbon Street 5 months ago, and there was 1,000 fans at Bourbon Street listening to his every word. Dude hasn't thrown a ball since I don't know, George H.W. Bush administration.
Give me George Wentz super fan in Memorial. Dude,
Yeah,
look,
George
George
Wentz
Wentz was phenomenal as a super fan. My favorite, all right, so my favorite super fan moment, I think we've talked about this before, but my favorite super fan moment, it was a George Wentz segment. It was when he goes, the Bears versus the Saints. The Bears win 72 to -3. Dicko will find a way. My favorite segment of all. I mean, I laughed so hard at that. It's just because -3, what the hell? And then Dicko will find a way. Yeah, he was phenomenal. He was phenomenal on Cheers. He was phenomenal on Saturday Night Live. A lot of those guys were back then. And some of them we lost way too soon. George Went, I believe, was 75, 76, something like that. Might even be older than that. Lived a good life, man. He was funny. Really good actor.
He's the one that said after the Bulls disbanded that Bulls team in '98, who said, who wants to see, the Bulls go, the triangle offense when you can see two? Who wants to see the triangle offense go at it again when you could see two Jews try to rebuild a team? And he took a shot at Jerry Reinsdorf. I don't think you could say that today, but
that was the last time Jerry Reinsdorf ran a good franchise. Just was.
Yeah, I mean,
you talk about 2005, but they got lucky in 2005. They really did. I mean, that team, when you looked at that team on paper, nobody thought that team was going to be a World Series contender. They just played out of their minds. They were really, really good. The same way the Cubs got in 2016, man. They just struck lightning. And they were really good for a season. You'll never get me to believe that was Jerry trying to win. It was just one of those where you fell on a pot of gold.
Yeah, pretty much. Really good starting rotation. And geez, I mean, Michael Jordan. You got the best basketball player ever. So yeah, you fell on a lot of things. You got pretty lucky, and you should have sold the Sox like 5 years ago.
Yeah, 10 maybe. Yeah. It's bad. I love the mini Ditka. Ditka mini. Yeah, no, there were so many great times, man. George went with a phenomenal actor. Yeah, man, but that's where I'm at with the Bears. What else did you want to get into before we get out of here?
I mean,
Women's College World Series, the most underrated tournament in all of sports.
Is an insane statement someone would make who thinks it's still cool to be a feminist like it was in the early 90s.
You're not.
That is what someone would say who's trying to impress some girl, some woman, probably Michelle, which I love Michelle too, but you just take it down a notch.
First of all,
it is not the most underrated. You just putting it on Facebook is overrating it. You putting it on Facebook for 300 friends is overrating the Women's College Baseball World Series.
Dude, the Women's College
Thomas says Collins is a degenerate gambler.
I don't care what anybody says.
That is the truth right there. Read that.
You could ask Michelle.
The first good comment Doubting Thomas has put out in maybe the 3 years we've been doing this.
Are you gonna let me get this out? You could ask Michelle over the last few days, what has she seen me watching on TV? What have I been following? It's the Women's College World Series. I watch it every year, dude. It really is one of the best tournaments in all of sports. I watch the Men's College World Series too. I think that's a very underrated tournament as well. I think that if you would give it the time and actually watch it, this isn't the WNBA. If you would give this the time,
at least you're admitting that.
Look, I I watch the WNBA. I'm going to be covering the Sky here in a couple weeks. Okay, so trust me. I get Angel Reese is awful. I love the. Have you seen the videos of the guys betting for her to miss her first shot of every game, and they keep doing it, and they take the winnings and they bet on the next game for her to miss her shot. They're on like a 7-game winning streak with this bet.
I think like 52% of her rebounds are off her own shot.
Yeah. There was a span of 60 seconds the other night where I saw the box score, and the box score says 7 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever. Angel Reese misses 1-foot layup. Angel Reese gets a rebound. Angel Reese 1-foot layup blocked, gets a rebound. Angel Reese 1-foot layup miss, gets a rebound. And this went on for like 25 seconds, and this was the actual box score. And this is what Angel Reese, and this is where I got into, because we have a guy at WRMN who believes that people have to look at the WNBA with an objective eye, and that, Angel Reese is really good at basketball. I think he's crazy, because Angel Reese is not very good at basketball. Angel Reese is a better Instagram model and a better influencer, social media influencer than Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is leaps and bounds in a different atmosphere than what Angel Reese is. So I get what you're saying, and I understand. Look, I understand where people aren't into the WNBA as are into the NBA or into anything else, and people that say the WNBA is going to overtake the NFL in the next 5 years are absolutely insane.
I don't.
Right? Brittany Griner said that. Those were actual words that came out of Brittany Griner's mouth.
You should go back to Russia.
Yeah, the prison in Russia too. But it's I understand that part, but that's not what this is with the College World Series, dude. I'm telling you, if you get a chance, because this week, I think Wednesday will be the start of the championship series, the best of 3. It's a championship series, and Oklahoma probably gets back there. I hope that they get beat. Looks like they're going to get past Oregon right now. They're up 4-1 in the 6th inning. But Oklahoma's been the juggernaut of women's college softball over the last 10 years or so. But if they get beat, Oregon, they have 5 teams in this College World Series that have never been here before. And so I'm rooting for those teams to be playing against one another. But I'm telling you, watch the championship series, and if you come back to me and you're like, yeah, that was terrible, we'll have that conversation then. But
no, I will.
Fun to watch.
No, I'll have an open mind about it. I just
Men's College World Series too. Men's College World Series is fun to watch. I know people are like, "Oh, I don't care about the player." I don't care about the players either. Like, I'm not invested in the players as a single player to be like, "Oh, the Cubs drafted this kid. Let's see how he does," or the White Sox drafted this kid. I'm not in it for that. I'm in it for the atmosphere and how hard these kids and how much they actually care about winning. And that's what it is for me with the Women's College World Series and the Men's College World Series, is how much these kids want to win and how much they love what they're doing. So it's fun to watch, man. Just check it out.
I'll watch it. It's on next weekend, did you say?
Yeah. Women's softball is so this isn't, it's not partnering with MLB to make a pro league. This pro league already exists. It's called Athletes Unlimited. They play out in Rosemont. I went to a game last year. They play right where the Dogs are at. It's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. The way that Athletes Unlimited does it is that they actually do a player draft, kind of like a pick your player. And if you are the best player, if you're the MVP of the league, they have 2 MVPs. If you're the MVP of the league, you get to pick your team. And so you do a draft style. And they've been doing this for a couple of years now, but MLB is coming in. Kim Ng, who used to be the general manager of the Florida Marlins, actually owns Athletes Unlimited. And she just got MLB to partner with them and to go in on it. We at my show on WRMN on the Rise, we are talking with Jenna Rose, who is a big part of Athletes Unlimited. We are looking to cover them all season long as well. Dude, I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. And if you've never been to an Athletes Unlimited event, dude, the PA announcer is like it's insane, like how loud he gets and how crazy he gets for every play that gets made, and he does it over the PA. It's kind of wild, kind of annoying if you ask me, but it's kind of wild. But it's a fun atmosphere, man, and it's fun to go see a game. And it's not far. It's out in Rosemont. Like I said, I went there because I work in the dogs anyway. And so it's right next door. It's the same parking lot.
I'll check it out.
Stadium is, so for sure, man. Definitely. All right, you ready to get out of here?
Let's do it.
Let's.
It's a good show.
Let's get the hell out of here. It was a good show. It's always a good show, though.
Jeremiah has to go take a shower because he feels like he agreed with you a little bit too much.
Is he going
I
to
thought
take
he
a
took
shower, or
most-
is he going to take another bath?
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Stand up.
You just can't help yourself.
I can't. All right, let's get out of here.
Mobland is calling me. Good show.
Love it.
Get a chance.
It was the women's softball of shows. I hate him so much. So much.
If this show had a bad guy, a bad wrestler, it would be Doubting Thomas.
Absolutely, 110%. And then the WWE would release them. Because
Yes.
all their good talent.
Yes. For
All right.
sure.
We will see you guys either Thursday or Sunday. We're not sure yet, but we will see you guys then. And until then, same bad time, same bad channel. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies. See you later.